Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Values Assembly on a Monday morning. As you know, this month our value is care. And the first thing I want to do is to say a big thank you to all of you who donated to Children in Need on Friday night. I wonder how many of you saw some of the programmes and some of the little films that were shown on the programme on Friday. I sat down and watched it with my family, and throughout the whole evening there were so many examples of care. People who care for others, people whose job it is to make sure that the people around them are looked after. And there was one particular film that really struck me, and it was about a child who was pretty much totally blind and slightly deaf as well. And as you know, your senses are really important. And so their life was really tough. And then they were given a support dog. And this support dog absolutely changed their life for the better. They were able to go out, they were able to meet people, they were able to do so many things that they couldn't do that they couldn't do beforehand because of this dog. And it struck me that it was a real two-way thing between the person and the dog. The person had to look after the dog, and the dog had to look after the person. They had to care for each other. And it was such a good example of how if you care for someone or something, then something else can care for you back. Now, this month, as you know, our value is care, and I wonder how many of you know who this is. Well, hopefully all of you know who this is. This is Honey. This is our school dog. This is Miss Hughes' dog, and here she is proudly showing her Poppy just in the front of the school. And I know that many of you enjoy seeing Honey around school and actually looking after her. This is my dog. This is Bertie. Here he is sitting at home. And Miss Hughes was really kind and bought him a little poppy thing to go on his collar as well. And there he is wearing it well. Now, both of these dogs are beautiful and lovely and great companions. And they both also need looking after. Now, I wonder how many of you have got a pet or got an animal, got a dog, a cat, a hamster, a gerbil, some fish, a horse maybe, anything that you look after at home, anything that you care for. Now, if you have, or if you've ever had a pet, you may know that actually caring for this animal is quite tricky at times. I wonder how many of you have had a conversation with the parents or the grown-ups or whoever looks after you at home and has said, if you get me a dog, if you get me a cat, if you get me a gerbil or a guinea pig or a rabbit, I promise I will care for it. I promise I will look after it. I know that that's what happened in our house. For about 4 years, our children were desperate for a dog. And they kept on saying, don't worry, Dad, we'll look after it, we'll feed it, we'll care for it, we'll take it for walks and so on. And I thought, I just wonder whether they really will. I wonder if when it's raining, when it's cold, when it's not very pleasant, they will stick to their promise. I wonder if that's happened to you. Well, let me tell you. In May, Bertie came to our house. And for the first 3 weeks, they absolutely loved doing all of those things that he needed to be cared for. And then, one really cold day, even in June, it was really cold, it was wet, it was miserable. No one wanted to take him for a walk. Guess what though? He really needed a walk. It didn't matter to Bertie whether it was cold and wet and miserable. He still needed to be cared for. And suddenly, all of that enthusiasm, oh, don't worry, we'll do it, disappeared because it was very, very attractive to stay at home and not go out and get wet and muddy. I wonder if that's happened to some of you, that you say you're going to care for something and then, unfortunately, it doesn't always stick. Look at all of these things that I've put down that Bertie needs every day. Bertie needs feeding, obviously, and we need to give him water. Bertie needs walking. I don't know what it was like in Milton Keynes yesterday, but it was dreadful in Bedford. It was absolutely throwing it down. It was cold, it was grey, the rain was so hard it was bouncing off the street. It was terrible. Bertie didn't care though. He absolutely needed walking, so we had to go out. Another way of us showing for care for Bertie is that he needs training. If you've got a dog, you'll know they need training. If you don't train them, they'll eat things, they'll go to the toilet wherever they want, they won't behave around children, they'll just be awful. They'll be, in effect, like a wild animal. So we had to take Bertie to puppy classes and we had to train him at home. We have to get cross with him when he doesn't do as he's told. But that's because we care about him. We need to keep Bertie warm. We need to make sure that he's got a blanket and he's got a nice bed to sleep in. We also need to keep him safe, and that means making sure that there was nowhere to escape from our garden, making sure that the gate is always closed when we come in, and making sure that we train him and keep him away from roads and from traffic and from anything else that might harm him. Bertie, unfortunately, doesn't know how to use the shower. He also doesn't know about keeping clean, because if there is a muddy puddle, Bertie will jump in it. Yesterday, we took him for a walk in a park and he jumped straight into a very, very muddy stream. In fact, it took us half an hour to clean him. And when we do clean him, we shower him. Bertie doesn't like that. We hairdryer him. Bertie doesn't like that. And we spray him with some kind of perfumey stuff. Bertie doesn't like that. However, when you take him outside, Bertie loves the mud. Bertie loves the dirty water. Bertie loves anything that is going to make him dirty. So we need to care for him by cleaning him regularly. We also need to care for him by looking after him when he's ill. Now, at the minute, he hasn't been ill. We are very, very lucky. But years ago, when we had another dog, Tilly, she was ill for a good couple of years, and that took a lot of caring and a lot of looking after for her. And Bertie needs playing with. Yesterday I was doing my schoolwork, Sarah was doing her schoolwork, and the children were busy doing homework and so on. But actually, Bertie still needed playing with. Bertie still needed to have the ball thrown for him or a bone to be pulling around with. So we needed to care for him by showing that we were playing with him. And finally, Bertie loves to be stroked. Bertie loves to be patted. We need to care for him by showing that we love them. Now, actually, looking at those things, most of those things apply to us as well. That actually we need most of those things in order for us to be cared for. And actually, when I was looking at children in need on Friday night, sadly, there are many, many children across the country where they are not fed or watered or walked and played with and trained. Yes, we need to train children. We need to teach them how to behave. Children who aren't kept warm and safe and played with and loved. So it was a really good thing to be able to see so many people giving money to children in need to donate, to look after those children who aren't cared for. Now, going back to the idea of animals, this magnificent creature is called a black rhino. And this is a Baijut white dolphin. This incredibly fast-looking creature is called a Tasmanian tiger. And this final one, this funny-looking bird here, is called a great auk. Now, the reason why I chose these 4 animals is, sadly, all of these animals are extinct. That means that there's not an example of them alive anywhere in the world. Now, there are different types of rhinos. You may have seen them in zoos or on programs, but a black rhino you will never ever see again because it is extinct. It was the last example of it died about 10 years ago. And a Abijah white dolphin, they have not been seen anywhere in the world since 2002. So we are assuming that they are extinct. The last Tasmanian tiger was actually shot in Africa in the 1950s. Never again will we be able to see a Tasmanian tiger. And these great big birds called great auks, they died out over 100 years ago. All of those animals, very sadly, are extinct because we did not care for them. We did not care for the world around where they lived, for the environment in which they lived. And really sadly, they will never ever be able to come back. That's what extinct means. They are gone forever. Okay, so this week, have a little think about that. Have a little think about the ways that you can carry on caring and looking after each other. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you around school hopefully very soon. Bye-bye.